Thanks for checking out the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV. Well, Week 4 is done and over with, and it was the closest, actually, that I've been to predicting an undefeated week here in the Big 12 conference football season, but Texas Tech had to lose its game Saturday night against Houston. Can't win them all, I guess, but 9-1 is not too bad. I will certainly take that for Week 4. That was an exciting game. We'll get to those and a couple of others that took place in Week 4 here in a bit. Thanks again, guys, for checking out the latest episode. My name is Sorrentino, and you can check my stuff out at kusports.com. Well, we are on site today. We're actually out of Kansas and into Texas here, the Lone Star State. I am back home where I grew up here in Plano, Texas, recording on site tonight. I am home visiting the family for the Jewish high holidays and figured just to pound out another episode tonight and get it going and reflect a little bit on what happened from Week 4. So a lot of memories here, and I'm happy to be recording here. But Week 4, let's get to it. A lot that went on. In fact, the biggest news I think that happened from Week 4 is the news that broke late Sunday night. Very unfortunate news for the folks up in Waco, Texas. Baylor quarterback Robert Griffin tore his ACL. He is going to miss the remainder of the season for Baylor. Horrible news if you're the Bears. I mean, it couldn't get much worse. He's Robert Griffin, easily your best player, a dual threat. He can get it done on the ground, in the air. This is just not what you want to have happen for Baylor when you're looking to make the first bowl game in 15 or years or something like that. I mean, they haven't been to a bowl game in so long, and they had such high expectations this season. I feel terrible for Baylor that this happened, but they have to move on. Blake Szymanski will come and take his place. He was actually Baylor's quarterback in 2007 before Robert Griffin came and broke out on the scene with the Bears last year. So Blake is a senior now, and it's his ship right now to direct here for Baylor. I don't know. Now with Griffin out, I really don't see Baylor making any serious noise in the Big 12 South. Especially with the way Texas A&M has played. They've been very impressive this year. And they look, I don't know. Without Griffin, I don't see the Bears making any serious moves, but who knows? We'll see how that goes. But that was terrible news that happened on Sunday night. Robert Griffin out for the season. Well, let's reflect a little bit now what happened in Week 4. Texas Tech. What a heartbreaking loss against Houston, 29-28. It went down to the wire. I wanted to analyze Mike Leach's decision to go for it on 4th and goal from the Houston 1-yard line. That was it seemed to be that's what everybody was talking about after the game. Here's kind of the situation. Tech was up 5. It was 28-23, 11 minutes left in the game. It's 4th and 1. A field goal puts you up 8. I mean, conventional wisdom says you kick the field goal and move on, but, it's Mike Leach, and he's not exactly following the book of conventional wisdom. So he elects to go for it. Tech misses it, of course. Houston holds them and just totally destroyed all momentum that the Red Raiders had. And that call was heavily criticized. I am here to say that I'm not going to go ahead and criticize Mike Leach for that call. It's easy to say now, kick the field goal and go up 8, But really, a touchdown at that point puts the game out of reach. And, it's kind of that thing where, if you can't gain 1 yard, then what are you doing lining up, I don't mind the call that Mike Leach made there on 4th and 1. You're thinking at the worst, you miss it, and Houston has to drive the length of the field to win the game. Well, it didn't happen on the next possession, but Houston drove 95 yards 2 possessions later and won the game. So credit Houston. I mean, they won that game fair and square, 29-28, crazy game. I think it was the largest crowd in Houston history, and they deserve to win. How about Houston taking care of the Big 12 this year? They beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater, then they come in and beat Texas Tech at home. Wow, Houston, very impressive win on Saturday night, and now Case Keenum, their quarterback, is a Heisman contender. They continue to rise in the AP rankings, and they're legit. I credit Houston in what they did Saturday night. So that was the only one that I lost because I picked Texas Tech to beat Houston. But I won the rest of them. A couple more that I just wanted to reflect on here. Let's go over A few more games here. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and go with Texas A&M with a huge 59-16 rout of UAB on Saturday. A&M is a little bit under the radar, I feel, and particularly their defense. They've really stepped it up this year. I was looking at it. Man, last year they were 100th out of 119 teams in sacks. They only had 16 sacks all season. This year, they played 3 games and they already have 14 sacks. Incredible turnaround. It all starts with Von Miller. I warned you guys about this guy at the beginning of the year. I was kind of predicting a breakout year. This guy's having a huge year with that hybrid jack position that they have him playing, that kind of blend between a linebacker and a defensive end. It's worked wonders for him. I think he's got like 8 sacks now. It leads the nation. Watch out for that guy. And can A&M be a factor in the South now? I mean, they haven't really played, incredible teams, but they've really, really rolled teams, and they're first in the country in total offense. So, compared to what A&M looked like last year, they look like a completely different team. Mike Sherman's doing some good things down there, and they're averaging 45 points a game. They've got something good going on over there. I was very impressed with A&M with its victory last week. Moving on, Texas. Easy to predict that they would beat UTEP, which was kind of obvious. But I think this was the first year that Texas looked dominating this year. They've looked decent. They've looked decent to good in the first 2 weeks. They looked absolutely dominating. 64-7 against UTEP, a team that can move the ball on offense. Not against Texas. They, 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery, 4 sacks. The horns were everywhere. I mean, they were just creating havoc. UTEP had nowhere to go. And how about this stat? UTEP, 51 snaps, 53 yards. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that for Texas, which has a bye week next week and then has Colorado. I would not want to be Colorado in 2 weeks going into Austin to take on a very good Texas team right now. Of course, number 2 in the nation. So that one was easy to predict, but I was impressed with how dominating a performance it was for the Horns. Couple of other key wins that I predicted. Kansas over Southern Miss. That was a close one. The Jayhawks were, credit Southern Miss. I mean, you're seeing this is another Conference USA team, much like Houston, that is for real. I mean, Southern Miss took KU down to the wire. The Jayhawks pulled it off late. A couple of impressive defensive stops by Kansas to pull out that game late. And, of course, Kerry Meyer, 10 receptions, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. What more can you say about the senior? He's in critical games, he comes up huge, and he's been so valuable for KU for so many years now. Particularly this year, you're going to keep seeing it. I mean, in big games, I expect Kerry Meyer to do exactly what he did against Southern Miss. So good win for Kansas. Missouri over Nevada on Friday. Blaine Gabbert, how about this guy? 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the season. I don't think there's been a more impressive quarterback in the nation right now to this point than Blaine Gabbert. He's just been sensational. Kansas State over Tennessee Tech, rather obvious. Brandon Banks had a great game, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. It's the first time that's been done in Big 12 history. So that was an easy win to predict, but a nice convincing win for K-State. They needed that. They really did. Oklahoma State, an obvious rout of Grambling State. Nebraska over Louisiana Lafayette, and Iowa State over Army. So that's 9-1 for this week. Not bad. I will take it. We're 35-8 on the season, and picking at an 81% mark right now. Hey, not bad. Not bad. I will take it. So that should do it for the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys again next time. Thanks.